What is up, everyone? Welcome to Reality Room Podcast with Paul
and Nate.
Bringing you the latest on Survivor Ghost Island, Episode 9. Okay, guys, so I didn't make a video last week. Sorry about that. Had some computer trouble. I was in the middle of making a video, and things just got a little weird, and I just never got to it again. But Chris was voted out at last Tribal Council. So the whole Dom versus Chris thing is finally over. How do you feel about that little feud finally being over?
Here's the thing. I just want to say that a feud like that was actually just really, really refreshing to have, just because for the past few seasons we have either had like one versus many, or just like two sides, or just like two sides that are just kind of not actually two sides. And it's like we have this like rivalry, and it's not clear which side is going to win out. It was just really fun to watch. I was hoping Chris would actually win out on this one, just because Chris is by far more entertaining than Dom. But like all in all, it was just a really good episode, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. The feud itself is a feud. I feel makes the show, because you have people who support one side and people who support the other side. And honestly, Chris had a really great he had an interesting personality, very strong, but he had his convictions, and he also had his story. So I was surprised to see him go that early. Were you?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I think I kind of felt the same about Bradley. Like, in a way, it's like it was a fitting end, but at the same time, it was like a little too soon for me. Like the very like engaging characters so far have been the ones that have been eliminated early, and I think that's probably the worst part about this season. For example, Stephanie was out early and she was amazing. Jacob, like, he was horrible at the game, but he was really funny to watch. And
Jacob was my pick to win, and I was so upset. Well, he was my male pick to win. Laurel is my female pick.
Yeah, and like Donathan, I feel like they're trying to make Donathan more engaging, but I think Donathan, like, yes, Donathan is like a cool person and stuff like that, but I feel like he's just hard for people to relate to. Yeah. So it's just like,
I feel like he's open and shy at the same time.
Yeah. You're not really sure which way he is, because he's like open in confessionals about like everything, but he's shy towards everyone else in the season. And he's, I don't know. But you can tell that Donathan is a good player, and that's why I'm excited that he is in the season. But regardless, Wendell so far has been, like, as terms of everyone left in the game, surprisingly, Wendell is like the most, like, the personality I'm most like drawn to, just because he's so funny. He's great.
Yeah, Wendell's definitely playing a good game so far, though he has a big target on his back.
I disagree with the good game, but like,
well. Yeah. Well, we'll get to it. All right, so let's jump into the episode. So we start off with Libby, kind of like, after Tribal, she got a few votes. I think it was 2 votes, which I think came from some of the Navidi girls, probably trying to flip something just in case. So she's worried. She's like, well, what am I doing wrong? Yada yada yada. And honestly, everything I feel just stems back to Libby from the whole Morgan thing back in episode 3.
When it wasn't even her fault.
I know. But like, when I think of Libby, that's all I think about.
Yeah. That, like, here's the thing. Like, Libby, like, when who was it that said it? Dom, I think, was the one who said, like, oh, Libby is the Parvati of the season. I'm like, yes, he was entirely correct. Like, Libby is the Parvati of the season, because she is being like painted as a mastermind when she's literally done nothing to actually deserve any of the attention that she's getting. So it's
she is actually playing the game, though, and for her to make that move, it was good on her part. Although that's basically all she's done since then.
Yeah, well, like, it wasn't even like that big of a move. It was a move. It was a big move in like juxtaposition to everyone else, because like I'm sure that Morgan was like vying for her so hard. And I think just in context, it felt like a bigger move, but like in the grand scheme, like not in context, but like out of context, it felt like a big move. But in the context of the whole season, it really wasn't that big of a move that should have been attributed to Libby.
Let's talk about Dom following this tribal council. So he's at the campfire and he's trying to be humble. He's like, oh, it's really big of Chris to like shake my hand. all that. And I probably shouldn't have played it up with the fake idol thing or whatever. I feel kind of bad, kind of stupid for doing it. And in his commercial, he says that he's trying to
not seem cocky.
Yeah, not to seem cocky, to decrease the target on his back, because he knows that he's a big fish right now. Yeah. So he's trying,
and it's working.
Yeah, it is working because as you know, it's not him that's targeted; it's Wendell.
It's Wendell. Yeah, and Dom, at first when the season started and the first couple episodes happened, I thought Wendell was the better player between him and Dom. But as the season has been going on and progressing, I feel like Dom has been the smarter player just in general. Yes, Dom, I think he was just excited at the beginning. He really wanted to do a lot of things. But as he got more comfortable, he was playing a lot better. And the way that he explains his game, it's my confidence in him doing well has been growing with every episode. So I think that Dom is very much improved since the premiere for me.
And part of it, I think, is the whole Chris thing. Because I really think Chris was Dom's foil. And now that Chris is out of the game, I feel like he can finally shine like the good player he is. Because I remember seeing his I remember right when they were announcing the cast, and I was watching his video. He seemed very impressive to me, Dom, at the time. And I was like, oh, this guy's probably going to go pretty far into the game. And then we just see him just, really get so fixated on his rivalry with Chris. But now that he's gone, I think he can finally make it far. And he's shown that even in the early parts of this episode, literally 10 minutes after voting Chris out of the game. So I'm excited about that. Let's talk about Wendell and his relationship with Laurel and Donathan, but mostly his relationship with Laurel. So first off, he tells Laurel, and first off, why? But before we even get to it, first off, why? He tells her not only that he has an idol, but that, hey, my closest ally, Dom, he also has an idol. So we're good. And then Laurel's just like, oh, wow, really? That's amazing. Confessional. How long did you have this idol? Why did I know about this 3 days ago when we met up again? What the hell's going on here? Huge mistake on Wendell's part, right?
Oh, huge mistake. First of all, if you have an idol, don't fucking tell anyone. We have been on season after season, and every single time that someone tells someone else they have an idol, oh my gosh, it hurts their game so much. And people just don't understand. I understand you're trying to prove trust, and yes, that is important, but just tell them you don't have a fucking idol.
I know. I
don't understand.
It's so simple.
Because here's the thing: if you tell people you don't have an idol, especially your closest allies, one, they think that they have power over you. If you have an idol and you tell someone, all of a sudden you become more powerful than them, and that's in a position that somebody doesn't want to be in, where they feel like they're lesser than someone else in the game. And what Laura was saying was entirely correct, and kind of backs up this point where it's they are just becoming more and more powerful, and they need to be split up at some point. And it's well, for one, when are you going to do it? Second, it's, oh my gosh, it's just, why keeping a secret, keeping an idol hidden and not telling anyone is so much more powerful.
And like Mike did, for instance, and then Laurel in her confessional says, hey, maybe I want to start shaking things up now. So now she's even turn on Wendell and Dom, and Wendell was noticing her kind of slipping away even before this conversation. So he should have known better than to mention something like this. I think he probably would have been. They probably would have been closer if he didn't tell her anything at all.
Yes.
But I also
sorry. Wendell's reads on people. Wendell's reads on people are really, really good, and that's not taking that away from Wendell at all. He's really, really good at reading body language. Either that or Laurel's just really obvious with her face. But other than that, he just doesn't know how to make good decision making. You're tired, you're hungry. Been out there for a while. Laurel's social game, as we've seen, I doubted Laurel a lot before the season started, but now that we're in the season, Laurel hasn't I'm confident Laurel's the smartest person in the entire cast. But she Wendell just doesn't know how to make a smart strategic decision in terms of long-term game. Like,
right.
Short term, yeah, it sounds good. Like, yeah, I'm telling you I have this idol. I want to bring you closer. But long term, like, does that really benefit you? No. So many players go on the show and they expect, like, oh, everyone's gonna trust me. Like, no, like, you can't just do that. You can't expect people to trust you. You have to earn it. And by telling people that you're more powerful than them, that's not gonna make people like you.
I do want to make the point regarding idols. Why I think people do tell others that they have it. It's a mind game, and they get too inside their head because they're stuck on an island with nothing to do for the majority of the time, and they feel, okay, I have to talk to someone about what I can do and what we can do, and I feel like that's really the reason why. Because I always think about it perspectively, like why did every season they make the same mistakes, and these are real players, like they know what they're doing. But I always feel like it always just boils down to like that little, like it's not even that they don't know they're making a mistake. Like when they get back home, they know, but at the time they're just getting stir crazy. But
the thing is, like, people don't understand that, like, an item of power is like, that's not really giving them information. That's giving and good information. Giving someone good information is actually like just telling them what you're doing, like following up and like say what you're going to do and actually follow through with what you're doing. That's how you actually build trust with people. And it's like such a misconception, like that you need to tell someone a secret. No, tell them the obvious. Tell them like, hey, I'm going to go talk to this person and this is what I plan on saying. If anything else comes up in the conversation, I will be sure to let you know as soon as it's convenient. And like that is probably the best way to trust, because one, it doesn't hurt your game in any way, shape, or form. It hurts other people's game, and it builds that trust with that other person. Absolutely. And thereby helping that person. So like, it's an obvious thing to do, but a lot of people just don't see it.
And with that, let's jump into the reward challenge. Okay, so it's teams of 6. I'm not going to break down the teams by whatever
because it doesn't matter.
and to save time. So the two teams, they had to launch sandbags at targets, and everyone had to go at least once, and they had to knock down all 6 targets to win. And what they won was tacos, burritos, margaritas, all the fixins. And
Jeff's pronunciation of margaritas, man.
Margarita. Yeah, he put a little too much emphasis on the accent. The only thing of note I have written down here, which I thought was just some little funny thing that I'm sure people noticed and tweeted about, but I didn't watch live. So I mean, I didn't watch at 8 o'clock. I watched later. Was that Jeff Probst said Sebastian cannot get it done. He is high all the time, and I was like,
that was great.
That was thinking, good. You don't say, Probst. You don't say.
Yeah. And like this also goes back to kind of like Wendell, Dom, and Laurel. Kind of I think being the front runners right now in terms of like biggest targets. Here's the thing. I'm not confident, but I think if Laurel actually like didn't try as hard as she could have, I think that could have been the best possible like move for her within the context of that reward challenge. Because Wendell was like, I'm raring to go. I'm ready. I want to play. I want to win. And like when Laurel's like, okay, you want to be in the spotlight? Go ahead and be in the spotlight. I'll contribute as much as I can, but I'm going to give the MVP award to you so I don't look like the biggest threat. And I think
exactly.
Dom,
and that's
like, yeah,
that's really what she should have done there. Like exactly. I'm seeing her like hitting 2 targets down, or maybe it was even 3, and I'm like, what are you doing? You just said 5 minutes ago, hey, I'm thinking about making a big move. Eventually, you're gonna be the big move if you keep this.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that Jeff said like, oh, she's exhausted, I'm like, great. She's like, it's just a good position for her to be in, and I'm like. She doesn't want to be like the best, but she definitely wants to be like looked at as like, oh, you're powerful enough for me to maybe beat, like you're powerful enough for me to like want to work with you, but you're not like so powerful that I can't beat you. And I think that's a great image that Laurel has. Dom, I think it's kind of in the similar position.
Early in the game, there was that swimming reward challenge where Laurel did dominate.
Yeah.
So
and people forgot about it.
Well, thank God for her. And I think you're definitely correct about Dom being in that position as well, because he did well this episode during the reward challenge, but Wendell, he number one, he lost, and him and Wendell went out at the same exact time. Dom got there. Dom was still shooting when Wendell was already back, and that's the comparison, and that's why Wendell is going to go home sooner rather than later. And speaking of who won, it was Wendell's team.
Yeah, obviously. Of course. Yeah.
And they picked rocks to see who's going to Ghost Island, and it's Jenna going to Ghost Island.
Yeah. Nothing happens on Ghost Island.
And nothing happens on Ghost Island. She's like, "Oh, I want to see if I can get an advantage." She gets
as soon as she said that, I'm like, "Oh yeah, she's getting nothing." But
I'm like, okay, I can go like wash the dishes or something because I was eating dinner at the time.
Jenna, I was excited she went at first just because like I really want what's left of Malolo to actually just kind of stick it to Naviti. But at the same time, it's like I wish they actually had a chance to like get an advantage every episode, because I feel like people missing out on the advantages would actually happen more often. So I like, and I feel like that would affect the game and actually make the decisions more pressing as to who goes to Ghost Island, because it's like if everybody plays the game, no matter what, like you got it, like you got to make a decision. Are you going to risk your vote, or are you just not going to go for the advantage whatsoever? Because I know like Michael, like Jenna, they would definitely go for it no matter what.
I mean, they're really testing the waters here with this new twist, because they don't want to go too hard, because they know that people at home, they see a lot of like advantages in the game, and they kind of just get a little upset about it. But I guess that there was like a finite amount that could be gotten in one season. And then once they're all got, that's it. But it's all based on chance. Let's say there's like 4 or 5, and they could get one every episode, theoretically, even in the first 5 episodes. But once the 5 are gone, it's done. But there's a 1 in 3 shot every time.
Exactly. And if they have to wait till the next, like, if someone doesn't get it and they get a no vote, like, that's one thing I love about Ghost Island, is that, like, there are actual consequences if, like, you don't succeed. And for the next, like, if for some other reason, like, somebody doesn't get the advantage, that's the next advantage that rolls over to the next one, and they just push the others back. So, like, I just prefer it that way, just because I'm like, I want someone to make a decision. What's the point of Ghost Island if no one's going to make a decision? So, I don't know.
So let's talk about the reward. Nothing really happened from what I remember. I think Libby just said some things, and was it Chelsea? Is that her name?
Yeah, Chelsea actually was visible this episode.
Yeah, Chelsea was visible this episode, and see, I do know her name. And Chelsea was basically like, yeah, I think it's just because you're so close with Michael, which really started to pin Libby against Mike, which I think is ridiculous.
It took Libby 3 tribal councils to realize that she's not in a good position. Like,
I mean, yeah, I know. She could be in such a, she could have been in such a better position, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. Like, again, like, I feel like people were just so adamant that Libby was a good player, and I'm like, she was really a floater. She really was. That was just like targeted as someone who they could have a connection with, and then when she refused that connection, she's the devil. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It happens to a lot of the pretty girls. They're always like, what's the word I'm thinking of here? Not vindicated. That's the opposite of what I want.
Yeah. Like, my opinion on Libby is that, like, she is not as good as a player as people are calling her, but the position she was in was not her fault.
Right.
So James isn't there to take credit for that move anymore, because for sure James would have taken credit for the move of taking Morgan out, but just not because he's cocky, it's because that's just, he would admit to doing it. So
he's like, yeah, I 100% did that.
Yeah.
Well, he left early too, unfortunately. So now we go back to camp, and Mike's talking to Angela. Because Mike still thinks of himself in a weak position, and he is in a weak position.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my humble opinion, and I'm sure you'll probably agree agree with me. Mike has had the toughest game to play this entire goddamn season. But I love him so much for like getting through it all and just like even tonight, like, oh my God, this guy, you just can't get rid of him.
He has been in so many like crappy positions, but it's like every single time he's not in the worst position. Like he's in a bad one, he's just not in the worst. And I think that's just been his story the entire time. Like from the second tribal council on, he has been a target. And it's like, it's crazy that he's able to like convince people that like, yes, I am with you. And like, it just shows how like he is a good player. It just, again, he's just been in a shit position. He was on a shit tribe. He was put.
He was like many a shit tribe.
Yeah, did not care for him whatsoever, and he had to like figure out his own way to get to where he's at. And now he has more options. They're limited, but he has more options. And now that he's played the idol on himself, and Libby is gone, and the person that he's most associated with is gone, I think his stock is like greatly increased on how far he's actually going to get.
Yeah, and next episode it can either be an easy vote or they can make like a big change here. And I think the Malolo people are going to say, "Oh, Libby's gone now," and we were kind of thinking, "Hey, we wanted to make this twist turn anyway." I don't know, maybe it'll be time for that.
And Desiree as well. I have my opinions about Desiree.
All right, so Angela talks to Mike, and Mike's basically like, "Yeah, listen, they purposely kept you out of the conversation last tribal." I was about to say last episode, but last tribal, because he wouldn't say last episode, he would say last tribal. And I kind of want to get. I think Wendell and Dom are the biggest threats right now. Probably Wendell first, and Angela's like, "Oh, okay." And then for some reason, I don't really understand why she did this, although it honestly worked. I feel like her relationships with people really did increase, and I was actually very impressed with how her social game kind of went from 0 to hero in like really a few hours. So Angela just starts talking to like Kellen and Chelsea, and she's like, "Yeah, listen, this is what Mike just told me about you." And Kellen's like, "Oh, I'm so pissed right now." Chelsea's like, "Oh, well, we gotta get him out." And then she goes to Wendell and Dom, and she's like, "Hey, look, they want to get you out," and they're like, "Oh, well, damn, I love that kid, but we got to get him out now." And
Angela killed it this episode. Like,
really did. I'm so impressed.
She basically forced like her game down everyone's throats as fast as she put that sea cucumber or sea slug down her throat during the challenge. Like,
but she spit it out.
That was impressive. Yeah, she spit out the second one. It out. She spit out the second one. It was just impressive. Like, there were so many jokes I was going to make about that, but I'm refraining.
It's a family show.
Yep. But no, Angela, like she just was impressive. I think the fact that like she got lucky like very early in the season, but like her game is completely turned around, and it's just she knows what she has to do. I just wish she would see that like Malolo does want to work with her. She's just like, "No, I'd rather work with Naviti," and it's like
it doesn't make sense for her to work for Naviti.
Angela and Laurel have the most amount of options. Laurel sees it, Angela doesn't. So it's just it's wasted opportunity for Angela, even though she did play well.
It's going to be her downfall later on, of course, but right now she is someone like even if she does last a little while, she is someone to maybe take to the end with.
Oh, so I think she's an easy third place goat. Easy.
As of right now, absolutely. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about Angela. It's immunity challenge. It's the food competition. I guess we'll get to that. Hey, food competition. Gotta love it. All right, so classic Survivor staple. It ends up being between, I'll just say who the last three were. Sebastian, Mike, and Angela. And at this point, the viewers are thinking, "Oh boy, yes, Mike and Angela. Mike and Angela, yes! Please."
Yeah, and it looks like Michael's gonna win because he killed it on every other thing. He came in first, and then freaking Angela just deep throats a sea slug, and it's over. Like it's Like,
well, wasn't he? The last challenge was I don't even know what the last challenge was. It was some like meat thing, like on a clam. I don't even know what that was.
Oh yeah, that was before it. But yeah, no, she was just impressive, and I think that like it comes from the fact of her experience. Honestly, I think it comes from her experience in the military and just being mentally stronger than everyone else out there.
It's probably true.
My favorite moment though out of all of them was probably Wendell. He touched the eye and just immediately it was just like, no, I don't need this.
Mike Lawson in the chat says, I was scared for a second that Jeff would say this is not a hidden immunity idol for some odd reason. Like,
yeah. That was a great moment. Like,
it really was. Because he's done it before.
Because the thing is, like, Jeff, it kind of just shows that Jeff is to a certain extent like in tune with the fan base. Like, he does pay attention to what the fans say to some degree. He
is so good with that, honestly.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say he's like amazing. I think Arisa Cox is probably the best host in terms of engaging with the fan base.
She is. I agree with you.
But he does, I think he pays attention at the very least. And I think that was just a really cool moment where he's like, this is not just a stick. And however, it pissed me off that Michael said that this was for Ozzy because it was for Eliza that thing is back. So
yeah, that's true. Actually, it's for what's his name? Jason,
but like Eliza was like,
shit. Yeah, but it's Jason's fault. Like, come on, like Eliza was just like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. It's not real.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try anyway.
It was like she was teased by Jason's like, yeah, it's an idol, and he gives her the fucking stick, and she's just like, this isn't the idol, and like at that moment, you can just see all the hope die out of her eyes. It's like,
I know it's
so it's she's like that should have been for Eliza rather than Jason, like Ozzy or even Jason, because Jason, like, he was fine. He just should have played the idol 2 rounds later because he was obviously on the bottom. And then Ozzy did it to himself. So
yeah, I mean, I think Ozzy left the next episode.
Yeah.
Angela wins immunity, beating out Mike in a whatever the hell they were eating in the last challenge. I don't think they said what they were eating. It's just like,
I think that was probably the one of the easier eating challenges, in my opinion. Like,
ooh, Mike Lawson says, "Nice haircut, by the way." Thank you, Mike. I love a compliment just like everyone else. All right, so we get back from the immunity challenge. Really, it's a lot of conversation happening, and based on the way things were going earlier this episode, the fans, not just the fans, the viewers kind of had the perspective that it was going to be Mike going home, and I honestly still kept to that. Until Tribal, but there was some conversation going on with Malolo about possibly getting out Wendell. Also, I forgot who said it exactly, whether it was Wendell, Dom, or whoever. They talked about splitting the vote between Mike and Libby in case Mike had an immunity idol. Hint, hint, he does. And yeah, thoughts?
I honestly was I figured Libby was going to go home. I just thought it would be a little bit more extreme circumstances, honestly, because what I was expecting, kind of hoping for, because I thought it would have been a really cool moment.
Wendell uses immunity idol too.
Yes, in response. No. Actually, no, he doesn't. This is what I was expecting. Like, I was expecting them to split the votes evenly between the two of them, between Michael and Libby, and then it being somehow 4 votes for Libby, 4 votes for Michael, 4 votes for Wendell, and then Michael playing the idol, and then them revoting and voting out Libby. And like Libby essentially screwing herself over because she voted for Michael instead of Wendell. And that I expected that to happen, and I was kind of hoping, again, because I thought it would have been really kind of cool to see, but no.
It would have been. How many votes were there for Michael? Almost everyone voted for Michael.
Yeah, there were 8 votes for Michael.
Okay, 8 votes for Michael. How many players?
12. Because it was 3 votes for Libby, 1 vote for Wendell, 8 votes for Michael.
1 vote. Wait, so if Libby did switch her vote, it would have been 2 votes for Wendell.
It would have been 7 votes for Michael. Libby still goes home.
Okay, never mind. But okay. Anyway, we're not even at tribal yet. Let's go back to them talking. So Mike and Malolo are basically trying. Mike's trying to rally Malolo, and he's talking to Jenna. He's talking to Laurel. Talking to Donathan. Talking to Libby. Like there was that moment where Dom talks to Libby, and he's like, "Hey, listen, we're voting Wendell out." And then Donathan walks up to Libby, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, it's either between you or Michael." I was like, "Oh shit!" And Libby's mouth was just like, "Oh yay, lovely." Again.
My name's up again. Like, yeah, your name has been up at every single tribal council you've gone to. Why is this a surprise? So it's just like I'm not sure how much that benefited Donathan to tell her, considering like they still weren't sure what they were going to do quite yet. I probably would have told Libby like last second, if anything, just because they know that Libby's name is on the chopping block if Michael has the idol. So it's like, tell Michael, but don't tell Libby. Like that's kind of my thing, just because like Michael's the target, but if he has the idol, you know that he's not going to target you. Right.
Yeah, good point there. All right. I guess we'll get to the tribal. I don't know. Well, I don't feel like there was a lot going on in this tribal. A lot of people just pretending to talk about the divide between Navidi and Malolo, when really it was everyone on the same page with Michael.
Yeah. And good editing, by the way, this episode, because it was like when the reactions of Laurel and Donathan were actually just really good placement in there, trying to throw us off. So I liked that. Like they've been doing a good job with that.
Mike Lawson confirmed that there was indeed 7 votes for Michael. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So you were right, Nate. Thank you. What else was I saying? Well, let's just get to the votes, which we already kind of did. Mike has 7 votes. He uses the immunity idol, Ozzy's fake idol that Eliza used, that Jason gave her.
I really liked how they introduced it into the game, because that was a really nice touch. Because I never thought like, oh, all 3 touched that stick, and then all 3 were voted out back to back to back. Like that was a cool touch that they threw in.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it was. I feel like it was just this very straightforward tribal council. Agreed with you. Not like super exciting.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like sets up for next episode, because like usually when you have 2 easy targets like that, it kind of lines up for a big fall. And I'm excited for the next episode.
Yeah, I think. And I think if it was another easy vote, it would have been like a 2-hour special.
Yeah,
because I feel like that's what they do.
Where the first vote is like very straightforward, and then the second one's like, holy crap, what just happened?
Yeah, exactly. And I think next episode we'll see a holy crap and then a straightforward. Is it a 2-hour episode next week?
No, it's a 1 hour, I think. I don't. Yeah, because I would have said it.
I was figuring that they had to do one soon, because
it'll probably be the week after.
Yeah, because there was like there's a season finale for something on tonight at 9:00, and that's why I was thinking that it would be a 2-hour next week. But oh well, following week it is. Good enough for me. Predictions. Who do you think is going to go next?
Well, I would love to see Desiree go, because I think she's the worst player out of everyone left.
But she's so good at puzzles.
Yeah, I hope it's Desiree. I think it's going to be a Malolo.
A Malolo. I hope it's not Mike. Who am I betting on here? Oh God, I don't see. I like everyone right now. That could potentially go. Because Desiree isn't going. Kellen is. Actually, I actually like Kellen a little more than I did earlier in the season.
Kellen's grown on me, and I think Kellen's probably the most likely person to win.
She does have a story.
Yeah,
it's not like the best story, but it's a story, and it's something that we're familiar with.
And she's at no point has she ever been painted in a negative light whatsoever. Like the only people that I have that have a similar thing to her at the moment are Laurel, and I would probably say, I mean, Chelsea technically, but she's just not visible. But yeah, like Laurel and Kellen have the most positive edits so far, by far. Like Laurel is seen as the very like both of them have a very similar edit, I would say, where like they're in different positions, but they're very straightforward. They're like, yes, this is like I'm the smarter person here. This makes sense. This person concerns me. Not I hope I didn't concern that person. Whereas like Wendell was like where he's in a subpar position. But yeah, no, I think Kellen is a very good shot at winning, and I think Laurel has a very good shot at winning.
Mike Lawson in the chat says, do you think it would have been better for the 4 who voted for Libby? Wait, do you think it would have been better for the 4 who voted for Libby to have voted for Wendell instead? I guess that's
no.
Yeah, no. I don't think so either.
One that would have only made the Navides like band together just even tighter, like with Angela there especially, because Angela, like we know, like kind of like her relationships have been rebuilt, and she would have just, with her now being like a character, I feel like she would have been like the front runner of just getting people out. That would have pissed off Dom, and he is an idol.
It would have been a huge revenge streak going there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They would have just completely decimated Malolo. It would not have been. It was not good timing for that, and I feel like they made the smarter move overall. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, they should have done it," and I get it. Like from an entertainment standpoint, you want things to be shaken up a little bit, but like here's the thing: we only get an hour of like the 2 or 3 days for every round.
Right. They get 3 days.
Yeah, we don't understand the whole context, like how everything is really going on necessarily. We're just getting like a certain part of it that makes sense in the overall story of it. So we're technically missing more information, probably irrelevant information for the person that wins. But at the same time, it's like we don't necessarily know how close certain people are to each other, and
that's true because a lot of stuff isn't like really relevant to show in an edit because it's not interesting to show.
Yeah, like a social game is very hard to edit, and it's like you can't like I'm sure like honestly I think like Sebastian there, he's gotten another like non-negative edit. I think Sebastian has been like he's a very social player. And I
think he's gonna make it pretty far, like top 5 or so.
Oh, for sure. I think like we're not gonna see exactly what Sebastian's about until the finale, kind of like Brett was in Millennials versus Gen X.
Easy person to grab to the end because he's not doing a lot, but he's strong.
He's not doing a lot, at least on the surface. I think like Sebastian's like majority of his game is primarily social, especially like
he did vote out Chris despite them being very close.
Yeah, and he is a smart player, and I think that we've got like 8 tribals left or something before the finale, because it's like 11 people. Yeah, 8 more tribals until the finale, so we're really only like halfway through the game at this point. Like
still a lot left to play, and it's very exciting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and like when it's 20 people, you don't want to be a target until like you don't want to make big moves until the end, really, technically, because that's the last thing people remember. And on top of that, like there's fewer numbers that could really hurt you later in the game. So it's just.
But by the way, there's likely another idol that's going to be put in play starting from next episode. Well, first off, Chris never got to use his. Now Mike used his, and now even though that wasn't like a
true idol,
true idol, it was a 2-week idol, 2-episode idol. And now Mike used his, so there's definitely a new idol that's going to be plopping on about. So we'll see who gets to pick that up.
And like, first of all,
again, honestly,
I hope they continue the 2-week thing for idols, just because
that's interesting.
It's interesting. It puts a time limit on how long you can hold it. It actually balances it out really well, because you're not going to be a tie, get 2 idols, and then go to the final 5 and use both of them. Like I think I like that a lot, and there's some risk to it. Like, oh, you get 1 week for an idol, yeah, for sure. I'm going to take that. And like, do you want to risk it? And I think that's, do you want to risk making it longer or more powerful? And I think that's very interesting, very intriguing,
also,
as well as fair.
also, I also want to make this interesting point on what could potentially happen in a future season, or maybe even this season. There could be the example of someone getting a one-time only immunity necklace, winning the immunity idol at the individual immunity challenge, and then giving that immunity idol up to someone else, and then like as like a bait, be like, I really just want to protect this person. So there could be potential for like the first time that happening and like fucking forever.
I think there's only been 4 times in Survivor history where someone gave up a necklace to someone else.
Or give individual immunity to Natalie.
Yeah, and there's only ever been one person who was successfully able to like give it to someone else without being voted out when they didn't already have immunity. And because I bring that up because Burton in season 7 gave his immunity that he won to Rupert when he was safe anyway because of the outcast twist. The only person to give up their necklace and not be voted out when they were in danger of it was Jenna Maraska in season 6, because she gave it up to Heidi, and there was a lot of complicated moves in there, and that was actually a smart move by her to do to begin with. But yeah, no, the only other 2 people that were at risk were voted out, which was Eric and Brandon. So we technically have another necklace that was a mistake. And I'm kind of hoping.
Man, I really wish he didn't do that.
So such a missed opportunity there. But no, like I'm kind of hoping and also not hoping that we see that necklace, because I never want to see them reference back to Survivor South Pacific ever again. But even though it wasn't the worst season, Redemption Island was the worst season by far. But like regardless,
we're talking about
there's still more opportunities to play
third season, right?
Boston Rob's 4th season.
Oh, Boston Rob's 4th season. Oh,
yeah. No, that was just.
I just finished that one. Well, not just finished it, but like a few months ago, I think.
Just a boring season in general. The only person that was even remotely like interesting was a guy that was voted out for the majority of the game, and like who like no one wants to see just someone just dominate the entire time. Someone like we want to see them like get like take a hit at some point, and just Boston Rob never did. And it was so obvious he was going to win the entire time. But regardless, anyway.
All right, so I think we can end it here. I guess I'll do my end spiel. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Also, if you want to support us monetarily, we have a Patreon now. Go in the link box below. Click on it, and if you donate $3 or more a month, we will personally shout out your name at the end of every single one of our videos. And with that, I want to give a shout out to Peggy, Peter, and Patty. It's the 3 Ps for supporting our channel. Thank you guys so much. Also, YouTube has changed this policy and has recently demonetized us because of they changed the subscriber requirement from 100 to 1,000. So please subscribe to our channel and help us get back to that 1,000 mark so we can remonetize and make like $2 a video. We'll catch you guys next week. Until next time, peace. Nate, you want to give social media stuff out?
Sure thing. You can follow me on Twitter at Hatzmania, HATZ Mania. I also host a show called The System. It's a brand new format, not Big Brother or Survivor or anything like that. And the finale for season 2 is wrapping up on Sunday. And we're opening up applications for season 3 this Saturday. So by all means, look us up. I'll be blasting about it on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. So yeah, definitely check that out for sure.
I'll have Nate give me the link so I can put that in the description box when the applications are up. All right, until next time, guys. Peace.